Validating startups used to be hard. Today, I'm going to be showing you exactly how me and my venture studio, we validate ideas and take them to market successfully and profitably. We get a lot of pitches to me, myself personally, and my venture studio from founders, startups, people who are trying to start a business, and they want to see if their product has market fit, if it makes sense, how they could take it to market profitably. And I'm going to be showing you over 3 steps that I go through and that I have put into my business to make this systematized so we validate ideas easily and seamlessly that have zero traction. So this is just an idea, and we're going to see how we can take it to market profit. Now, in this case, this was a client that I worked with where he was pitching me his fuel logistics software business, and I was helping him structure his go-to-market strategy. So how do you take this concept, this idea, and you make it a real thing that actually works and is profitable from the very start? So you don't have to raise too much money. You don't even need to raise any money. And it's how you're going to structure your product to make it work from ground zero. And today I'm going to be showing you exactly what that is. My name is Chris, and I run a venture studio that helps founders go to market profitably and take over their market through client retention, product, and user design. All of these things together makes people really want to stay with you and never want to leave. And that's how you dominate them. So today I'm going to be showing you Incero is the fuel logistics company that we got pitched. And this is not a pitch for you guys. This is just to show you the context behind the idea, what the founder is thinking, how the founder wants to go to market. He already did a lot of legwork going through the presentation for me with this pitch deck. And I'm going to show you the things that stuck out in terms of me realizing this is a good idea and how I think he should take this to market. So here he was saying that he takes all the problems that the other service providers have and he solves them under his own umbrella, which is a strategy that I love and I think most founders should be doing more so. He clearly has experience with all the other solutions that aren't doing the things that he knows would save these gas companies a lot of money and does enough to charge extremely high premiums. So going through the details here, he shows all the features. And also for context, like I'm not an expert in fuel, but I am an expert in people and problem monetization. So you're monetizing problems that you solve for people. And if you can have valid problems, then you can solve it for these people. Now, you can see here that there are rules for credit, dashboards, interface. He's trying to add AI into it, calculations. So this is going to help him give clarity to his clients in terms of this is where you're leaking in terms of revenue, in terms of this step in your process when the fuel is going from point A to point B. This is the area that's costing you more than it should, etc. So he's trying to show that clarity to the clients, and that also justifies his value gap, because if he's saving these people tens of thousands of dollars every single day, then it justifies the price of the software being tens of thousands of dollars per month, per user, per seat, however we structure it. So next, here's a list of the features that he wants to add. And then he has a approval flow that is optimized. So in the oil and gas industry, there's an approval flow for whenever you're taking these contracts and you're trying to get it vetted and authorized. So he has optimized this here. He's referring to the problems that already exist in the market, and he's given the stats for it too. He's showing how many of these mega projects fail because they cost way too much money and there is not a way to easily track where all these expenses are going and coming from. And that's mostly essentially the issue he's solving with this, is to reduce the bleeding from projects and from regular logistics operations. And he's shown why they fail, why traditional solutions fail, and they take too much time. They cost a lot of money, which is fantastic. From chaos to control, he's shown, he's also doubling down on the fact that there's a lot of issues that are not being addressed that are kind of just part of the market and the standards in the industry. And he is rethinking it and reshaping it and solving all of these in one centralized place. Then there's some examples of a dashboard and some other stats in terms of market opportunity and stuff like that, where he'd put the money if he were to receive his investment, how much his pricing would cost, how much the existing services typically cost to sell these solutions. So the founder thought of everything. And this was a huge sign because he did a lot of the research, a lot of the heavy lifting, and isn't putting it on the investors or the builders to structure this for him. So what I thought of when I saw this is I start to think of, okay, we have to have a pricing strategy for the first few years users to be different than the last few in this initial adoption stage. And we can structure a few different opportunities. We can structure revenue share based on bleeding saved in terms of the money that's saved. So if he saves a company $1 billion at the end of the year, for example, he would take a cut of 2-3% of what that would have been instead. So if he saved them $1 billion, he would get paid his 2-3%, which is a few million. And on that note, we structured that. I thought that'd be a lot better because then it puts the incentive on the software to perform, because a company will feel a lot more like you have skin in the game if your results, your revenue is tied to their results. And especially at the beginning when you have no proof, barely a product, barely a concept, this is huge. The promise that you can tie your own revenue to their results is a huge lift when you're first starting something. So here's the initial pricing strategy. Keep in mind, these are small user numbers, but these are huge contracts with very large companies that he would be onboarding. So I suggest about 0 to 5 users. The first 5 users, you should have an onboarding of 0 and have around like 10 seats per business. And then you want to charge 5K per seat per year. So it'd be about 50K per year for 10. And the structure that I wanted to make sure he fully applies in his contracts is the fact that they have their own solution and you have yours. And the fact that they have to have a little bit of risk and operational inefficiency loss, they have to lose a little bit to try your solution because you're making all these promises and you're promising all these huge results. They're going to have to take away from their current operations and have you come in. And the thing that I want him to convey in his pitches when he was talking to these clients is to only have a small test with his software. So they keep what they're doing and then they distribute maybe at the beginning like 5% of their workforce, 5% of their payments, their projects, whatever, on his software, and they see how it goes. And as the solution proves itself, as the results start to be visualized, then you start to increase the amount the company sends into your software. So they have their software, and then you have yours. And then as you show results, as they transition more labor, more capital, more resources towards you, and then that's how you make a full transition out of the old software and into yours for larger companies. So progressively, this would be based on how the client is doing, how they're comfortable, but essentially be about 5%. They probably go about 5% per month or per quarter, depending how well the results are and how comfortable they are, and depending on the quality of your solution. And then it would, after you have 5 clients, you would start to increase your prices accordingly and start to actually reach the price that you're going to have standard across your business. So you have a pretty heavy discount at the beginning. You just want to have people get in and start using your product. You don't want to be too cheap, but you don't want to be overly expensive where the risk outweighs the solution, the switch, the cost of the solution. So the next, I suggested having about 25K as the onboarding, and then having 20 to 30 minimum seats at 8K each seat. So it's about 180, with the onboarding is about 180 to 65,000 per year, per business. And that's plus the revenue saved as well. And then once you get to above 30 users and you want to start charging probably about $1 million per year as onboarding, as a regular retainer, and you want to have seats at 15,000 per seat, assuming the results keep in their favor, plus the revenue share gets. And that's essentially it. So as long as you have the pricing strategy, the pricing in itself makes the product come to life more, because you're structuring the middle. You have the product, you have the client, and then you have the pricing in the middle, and the pricing makes it more attractive or less attractive depending on how you structure it when you're just having a concept beginning. And next here, we have some of these solutions that I suggested he does. So it includes cold emailing, cold calling, going to events, having affiliates because the person had some connections in this field. If you were to go to some conventions and travel, those are really strong options to get these connections. These are really high ticket services. So in person is going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting, especially in the oil and gas industry, like events, seminars, cold calling, trying to get relationships built up that way are huge. And some long term, less priority, essentially funnels would be the affiliates, to have affiliates refer clients to him, and an SEO funnel where he just has SEO on the website. And as these companies do their research, they stumble onto his solution. So, and in terms of validation, this was me drawing live on the iPad, so it looks a little funny. But essentially, you have the funnel that I suggested he builds out for the validation, which would be you have the end user, the person, the prospect, the person has no idea you exist. You have ads, you have content, you have emails, you have affiliates, and you pick one of them. You could run some paid ads, which is perfectly fine. But I suggested that in person would be huge if he just travels, goes events and networks that way. Then he gets his first few clients, and then it goes from there. But if you were to do the digital route where you're having it more automated, you have your ads, you have your email, you have possible content or SEO. Then they go onto your page, and then you nurture them. You give them enough information where they're comfortable to take the next step with you, which is then booking a call or having a demo or having any of that built in. So I hope this is clear. If you guys have any questions in terms of how to validate your ideas, double check down below. I have some resources in terms of how we validate software businesses and ideas and concepts that take them to market profitably. And I will see you in the next video.